How's it going, guys, and me pals? I'm Alice121, your favourite Kiwi trans girl, and I'm gonna be getting bottom surgery very soon. It's ridiculously exciting. It's been a while since I realised I was trans and made my life-changing decision. A lot has happened since I came out. It's kind of amazing to me just how much has changed. Just how much I have changed. And I get a lot of comments from people looking at me and saying, "How did you get so pretty? How do you look like that? How can I do that?" Well, as this video is uploaded, I am going to be undergoing surgery. And I thought for you and for my own posterity that I would make a video documenting my entire transition journey up until this moment. That you can look at and see how I got to where I am, and that I, in the future, can look back on and see who I was at this point of time and compare that to how I'm doing post-surgery. Let's get started, shall we? Before we jump straight into my actual transition, let me tell you my story. So, how did this all happen? Well, I was never really one of those trans cases where everyone could tell. It was never obvious with me. Even to me, I grew up a boy. I liked typically boyish things. I had no interest in makeup, dresses, or anything. But still, deep down inside me, there was something there, even though I was happy being a boy. I remember when I was 8 or 9 having vivid dreams about being turned into a girl somehow. I was very confused by them at the time, but it makes a lot more sense now. I remember in primary school this one time where the class was playing dress up and I decided to wear a dress. I wouldn't say it felt right at the time, but I still did it. And all this is just to say that, you know, it wasn't particularly obvious, but there were little hints when I was a kid. But by the time I was a teenager, I really had no idea. I was happy being a boy. Happy enough anyway. My life was good, my friends were good, I was happy, I was having a good time. But as my teens progressed, I started daydreaming more and more about being a girl. It started in ways I couldn't really tell. I would daydream relationships about a really cool girl, almost entirely focused on the girl, but with myself in the guy's perspective. And more I'd get obsessed with the idea of this girl, and at some point I realized that I had somehow stopped fantasizing myself as the guy, and I was just fantasizing as the girl. It was a slow change that I didn't realize until it just hit me one day. Again, it made no sense to me. I didn't even know transgender was a thing at the time, but I remember around 16 years old being the time that I realized that if I was born again, I would choose to be a girl. That I decided I would press the button, and every trans girl knows what the button is. And it really brought me a lot of turmoil. For the next 4 years, I would agonize over it, getting worse and worse. Why couldn't I have just been born a girl? It would be so much simpler. Why do I have to go through this? Why doesn't the button exist? But the button did exist. With the help of r/eggirl on Reddit, I realized that the button I was yearning for so badly was in fact transitioning. For the first time in my life, I thought in detail about the possibility of being transgender, and it just clicked. I realized I was trans just before the first COVID lockdown of 2020. Came out to my sister, and then admittedly regressed into a hole for 6 months. Denial, and then finally sort of accepted it. Accepted myself for what I wanted, and accepted that I could be transgender. And that's how I got to start my transition. This is what I looked like. This was boy Alice, egg Alice. I was hot, to be fair, and ripped. I was stupidly fit. It's unfair, and I'm so confused because I was exactly the type of guy I'd be into now. Except that is for confidence. I was a pretty chill guy to hang out with. I just didn't have any verve. I didn't have anything that made me special or stand out. When I realized I could be trans, I made a decision. I had to be sure. There was a Halloween party coming up for some friends, and I, of course, decided to dress up as a girl, as a joke. Such a good joke. I bought a girl's costume, some heels, and I had my sister do my makeup. And voila! This was the first time I ever dressed femme. Looks pretty shoddy in hindsight, but I felt so cute. I went to that party and I actually fooled people. They didn't recognize me until they heard my voice. I got a few people telling me that it was scarily convincing, and one of my friends absolutely clocked me for being transgender and asked me, "Oh, have you thought of a new name?" And I was like, "Ah!" I wasn't ready to admit it. He was, of course, spot on. But most importantly, I had an amazing time that night. It was absolutely incredible, and it was really the final confirmation I needed. And me, I'm pretty decisive. Once I decided I was transgender, it was all go. 2 weeks later, I was seeing an endocrinologist and doing fertility preservation. In the middle of November, I came out to my parents, and it was, and still is, the hardest thing I've ever done. But I did it right, and I'm so proud of that. I did it in person. I was open, honest, and I picked a moment, and I just let it all out on the table. And I'm so lucky to have a supportive family. They accepted me. It was difficult for them at first, definitely, but after a month, you know, things got a bit more normal again. And now, 3 years on, it's hard to imagine life being any different. In March of 2021 is when I started hormone therapy. And that's my story of how I figured out that I was trans. Yours might be completely different. You might have totally different things. You may have had more hints when you were a child. You might not have had any. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you want to be a girl, and you can become a girl. And this is when we start getting to photos, because like any basic white bitch, I was obsessed with myself and took lots of pictures. So I actually have a transition timeline entirely in pictures, and we can start tracing things back through them. Why don't we have a look? So, this was me pre-transition, obviously. Look at that jawline! This is where I started from, right? You got me? This is where everything started. I wouldn't say I had a particularly great starting point. In fact, when I started hormones, I was pretty much in despair that I would never look like a woman. That was 2.5 years ago. And I was absolutely convinced that I would need facial feminization surgery in order to look even slightly feminine. Because, as you can see in these pictures, I just had an incredibly strong jaw and an incredibly strong brow. I'll blur out the other two faces. But you can just see how wide that is. And worst of all, my features were really sharp. My cheekbones were pointy. My chin was pointy. Everything was sharp. There was no softness in my face whatsoever. That's really where I started from. My figure was alright. I was always pretty skinny. I didn't have any shape to me or anything. But I was lithe and I was skinny. And I think that's a really good starting point for hormones. Possibly a little too skinny. This is a picture from when I first started doing my own makeup. And as you can see, there is very little flesh on my bones, and it made me look extremely gaunt, and to be quite honest, a little bit terrifying. That's even worse there. I would really recommend for anyone starting their transition, stay the fuck away from dark makeup. I know it's enticing, but if you have a strong brow, it won't work. But yeah, you know, this is what I was working with when I started. These pictures were taken on the 2nd of May, 2021. And then this was my 21st birthday party. This was the first time I dressed femme publicly out as a trans woman on my 21st birthday. So I would say this is my first time presenting. Obviously I'd been to the Halloween party, but that was kind of a joke. I started off with a very punk kind of style. I've since regressed from that, but you know, it looks pretty cool. But you can pretty clearly see I'm pretty obviously transgender. I'd still look very masculine even with makeup on. And let's use this picture as a comparison, okay? Because as we get further through these photos, you're gonna see how my figure changes. But you can see in this picture, I'm just a twig. I'm just a stick. There's nothing there. There's no hips, there's no butt, there's absolutely nothing. Again, I'll say, yeah, I would really recommend staying away from dark makeup unless you have really soft features. Just a general advice. Everything I learned to do with makeup was learned through trial and error. But like, you can see how fucking ripped I was. There's a fucking vein right there. But I was really skinny. And I think this is an important point to note in my transition, is that when I started hormones, I wanted to be a bit healthier, right? When I started hormones, I was 60 kilograms and 5'11" or whatever. I was very underweight, despite being basically made of muscle. A bunch of factors collided, including obviously cravings with hormones and all sorts of stuff. I gained about 10 kilograms when I started hormones. In the first 6 to 8 months, I gained about 10 kilograms. And we'll see how that has an effect later. Now, this is only 2 weeks later. This is at the end of May. And you can already see, I've been on hormones for 2 months at this point. Almost exactly 2 months of hormones. And you can immediately see one of the main things that you get on hormone therapy. And what that is, it softens your face. The most amazing thing ever. A combination of hormones and me gaining weight basically put fat around all of the super sharp and pointy parts of my face and softened it out. And you can see that even more. My face is just getting more and more soft. There I am on the 28th of May 2021, still skinny as a rake, but I already look leagues better than I did 3 weeks before. There's still a lot of that masculine bone structure in there, and I definitely was not passing at this point. Like, I wouldn't say I look bad or anything like that. I still think I looked pretty cute in a lot of these photos, but I definitely didn't pass. You can just see my brow and my jaw, all still very aggressive and sharp. We're now getting into July of 2021, right? So this is about 4 months on hormones. It's a big jump. I didn't take any photos for about 2 months. Immediately, you can see how much softer my face is. It's incredible. Hormones are just absolutely amazing. By this point, I'd probably gained about 6 to 7 kilograms from my start, and hormones had really dumped a lot of that on my face, softening out my features. But again, still looking pretty masculine in other pictures. It's just from a few angles I suddenly look really soft. And this here, I would say, is really the start of modern Alice. Again, I didn't take many pictures for a few months. We've jumped forward to the 14th of November 2021. So this is almost 7 months on hormones. And you can just see my hair's gotten a lot longer, my face is incredibly soft, and 6 months of practicing makeup has really got me quite a lot of skill. And I'll take this as an aside to talk about makeup, right? A lot of people ask me about makeup. I've done a few makeup tutorials on this channel, you can check them out. But the main thing I always say to anyone that wants to learn how to do makeup, practice, practice, practice. Trial and error. Everyone's face is different, you can't simply trust a tutorial that you read on the internet. What works on my face might not work on yours. You need to look around, and most importantly, you need to try loads of different things until you find what really works for you. And at this point, after 6 months of doing my makeup, I had a pretty good idea of what made my face look good. And now we're on the 22nd of December 2021. And I would say that this is around about the time that I started passing. I was not at all passing until I'd been on hormones for about 7 to 8 months. By this point, I'd probably gained my whole 10 kilograms and it had really softened my face out. And as we go through the next 6 to 10 months, you're just going to see hormones do more and more stuff for me. It's going to soften my face even more. It's going to give me curves, it's going to give me hips, it's going to start growing my breasts, it's going to start giving me this absolute dump truck that I've got down here. I would say the full effects of hormones didn't really start kicking in and weren't really noticeable until about 8 months. So anyone that's starting hormones that's 3 or 4 months in and you're not feeling that good about your progress, please do not give up. Because you're not going to see amazing results until you've been on them for at least 8 months. And for me, I wouldn't say I was really looking good until I'd been on hormones for almost 18 months. It takes time, everything takes time, and you need to have patience. This was the first post I made on Reddit that got over 1,000 upvotes. In fact, it got 3,000 upvotes. Kind of made me realize, oh hey, maybe I'm actually kind of pretty. And this post got 8,600 upvotes on LGBT. But you know, you can see clearly my hair's getting longer, my hips are getting wider, and I'm starting to fit these dresses really nicely. And my face, it's completely different. It's completely different to how it was when I started. If you compare this photo and you compare it to this, it's like an entirely different person. Hormone therapy and weight gain absolutely knocked it out of the park for me. Obviously, this is my transition journey. I wouldn't recommend you try and follow my footsteps. Most people weren't severely underweight when they started hormones. So I suppose this is a little bit of a niche kind of transition journey. But yeah, it was about after here that I started getting really confident in my body and I started carrying myself better and just feeling more confident. You know, confidence is attractive. I talked a little bit earlier about how as a guy I didn't have any verve. This is something I found really interesting, is that as I became my new self, I felt much more comfortable, I felt much more like an individual, and that allowed me to express myself in much more interesting ways. It made me a much more personable person. The kind of person that's vibrant and interesting and charismatic to be around. And yeah, more of the same. I just get more and more confident and more cute as hormones take more and more of an effect, and you can really see it here, how much hormones have given me hips. This photo is from the 21st of January 2022. So this was 10 months on hormones, and all of a sudden my hips are fantastic. How amazing is that? Another thing I'm sure a lot of trans girls are excited for, and I'll confirm for you it does happen. My leg hair is basically non-existent now. When I started hormones, I was having to shave my legs probably every second day. After about 8 months on hormones, I could get away with once every 3rd day. After 12 months, once every 4 days, and now I've been on hormones for fucking 2.5 years or something. And I mean, I'll be quite honest, it's been like a week and a half since I shaved my legs and they don't look that bad. So I can probably get away with once every 2 weeks now. It's amazing, it's absolutely incredible. HRT will thin your hair. Your mileage may vary, of course. It may thin yours more or less than mine, but it does happen. And I've put this photo in here to show my progression in makeup. This is from the 23rd of January 2022. And again, I'll just say makeup practice makes perfect. My main tip for doing makeup and getting good at it is when you're doing eyeliner, rest your palm on your jaw. That's the #1 makeup hack I have for you. The only other thing I can say is practice makes perfect. For the first 10 months of my transition, I wore a full face of makeup every day, and I just got better and better and better and better at it. That's the only way to learn. Not only did I get better at it, I refined my style and used different techniques and found out what ones work best for me. And in the end, I have a style of makeup that now looks just consistently good on my face. Yeah, that's pretty hot, isn't it? Yeah, that got a few thousand upvotes on Reddit. You know, we're getting to that point where now I just don't look masculine at all in photos. It's March of 2022. You can see my figure coming down even more. Super slim, just looking good, and just look at that. Look at how much my jawline has changed. What was originally an extremely masculine looking, sharp jawline has just been softened slightly. Just slightly. And suddenly, it just looks feminine. That is entirely because of hormone therapy and fat redistribution. Me gaining 10 kilograms of weight and starting hormones gave my body fat to put on my face and round me out. Now we're into the 22nd of March 2022. And this is around the time where people started chatting me up in public. And you know, I look pretty good at this point. At this point, I was really confident in myself, and I was pretty happy in thinking that I passed. This was about the time where I really thought I'd made it. This picture was taken almost exactly 1 year on hormones. So, let's have a comparison. Here I am, and here I am. How amazing is that? 1 year of hormones. What an incredible difference. And more of the same, really cute picture. I really liked that picture. It's just amazing how much your face softens on hormones. I was so convinced that I was going to need surgery, but no. There you go, you can see I've still got pretty broad shoulders. I've still got a little bit of muscle in there, but I've got a thin waist, I've got hips now. My hair is long and gorgeous, and yeah, it's just good, isn't it? I was really proud of that pic. I thought I looked really cute. And you know, possibly a little bit racy, but I thought I'd include this picture just to show what my figure looks like. We saw that picture in the beginning of me in the leather jacket with just absolutely no figure whatsoever, just an absolute twig. But now you look at this picture and you can physically see hips. Oh yeah, I look hot in this one. But then I got glasses, and they really changed everything. I think this is about when I got to modern day Alice. The Alice that I feel comfortable in, and I think, you know, I pass pretty much 100% of the time. And that's the thing about glasses, right? One of the main things I was struggling with. You don't see it in a lot of these pictures because, well, frankly, I don't like to take pictures in angles that are unflattering. But looking at me side on, I don't have that great a profile, right? My brow sticks out, my nose sticks out, my chin sticks out. That doesn't look that great. I never took many pictures of that because I was self-conscious of it. I look really good from the front and from slightly angled, but not the side. The side was always what was clocking me out in the real world. Yes, I may have passed in pictures from front on. Yes, maybe I looked really cute. But in the real world, if you saw me, you don't just look at me from the front. You look at all angles, and this was really giving me away. But the amazing thing about glasses is that they hide the little jutting brow, and they make my brow look more soft. And all of a sudden, I wasn't getting clocked anymore. And you know, that was pretty much the defining moment. After that point, I can say pretty imperatively that I really passed. I would genuinely recommend to anyone that struggles like I do with a huge jutting out brow, try some glasses, because this little arch that goes above your nose, it does make your brow look smoother. Oh yeah, look at my figure here. This is after 18 months on hormones. And I mean, there's no other way to put it. My figure is womanly. This is one of my favorite pictures of me ever. It was taken on the 9th of October 2022. It was my profile picture for a long time, and yeah, I would say this was about the time that I made it. Happy with my transition, that I felt like I had completed it, aside from the surgery I wanted to get. Then of course I got a shitty haircut, and my hair was way too short, so I had to put it in pigtails, so that was a little bit of a slip for a few months. But oh yeah, that is, I don't know why there's a picture of my car in this folder. And then this obviously is a picture to demonstrate that even though I've been on hormones for 2 years, Still fuck all there. Don't be too alarmed by that. Some people don't, some people do grow boobs. You know, it's what it is. But then finally, I could have my hair down again, and you know, now we're looking at modern day Alice. All of these pictures are within the last few months. That's absolutely stunning, isn't it? And I'm really proud of how I look. You know, I'm really proud. I'm so proud of how far I've come. It has been a long, long journey. Look at my figure. It's been a long, long journey, but it's been pretty amazing. And that is my transition journey. That's where I've gotten to so far. Now I'm getting bottom surgery and I'm about to start the whole new chapter. And maybe in a year or two, once I've recovered from that, I'll make another one of these and I'll see how I'm going. A lot of people are also going to ask me, of course, about voice training. I'm not a professional voice coach or anything. I can't give you any solid advice. I made a brief short about the vocal exercise that helped me sound feminine the most. But for the most part, I really recommend you go have a look at Trans Voice Lessons on YouTube. She's an expert, she knows everything, and she really got me where I am today. But without further ado, that's all I've got for you today. I just want to remind everyone that I'm going to be documenting the entire process of my surgery in a documentary style fashion in the hopes that I can help inform and help people make that difficult decision on whether to get surgery and where to go and what sort of surgery to do. Please subscribe, ding the bell so that you can follow along with that journey, and share this video and my surgery update video with any trans people you know that are interested in or are considering getting gender reassignment surgery, because I feel like we can really help them. If you want to support my channel and help me pay for surgery, my Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description. I would really appreciate it. This surgery is expensive. But without further ado, I suppose I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.